So, a person had a question about a soul family, and specifically, it's a long one. There's a little story to it. So, I'm gonna read and we can go deeper into the details. So, I have no idea how to pronounce this amazing nickname, but the comment is: Hi, Kville, thanks so much for getting back to me. I also sent you an email a little bit while ago. But at a young age, around 14, I wanted to know the truth. And please don't think I'm bad, but I asked Satan to reveal the truth to me just by saying it out loud. But part of the reason was because my parents were and still are Christians, and I did not resonate with it. But after I say this, I got a dream of these two beings, one male and one female, and they look Japanese. They told me that they are my parents, and I didn't believe it because I'm a Black Canadian. But even though I doubted it, they kept coming on back to tell me it is truth. So after a while, I realized that somehow they are my parents. I have also seen my other family members there, and I have seen many times the world, and it resembles Japan, but it's like Japan, China, and Korea together in one country. Hope this isn't too much, but I wanted to know, could these parents of mine be my soul family? And if so, does that mean that before I incarnated here, I was with them? Also, soul families are eternal, meaning you always have them. Another thing to add is that part of my experience of seeing these beings, I also had a goddess of some sort that appeared to be Japanese, but I was in a dark place in water, and above me I could see this goddess, and she was radiating powerful light, and she told me that she loves me and that I will always be her son. But I remembered that light can be deceptive to me, right? Even though in all of my experience of them, I always felt very happy and at peace. Nowadays, I don't see them like I did before, and it depresses me a lot. Like there's a lot going on in my life, but in recent experiences, I had them tell me that suicide is up to me, but that if I do it, I would end up with them. So here in Canada, they're going to legalize medical assistance in dying next year in 2023, and it's already legal, but not for so-called mental illness. I really hope this isn't too much, but please get back to me and tell me what you think, and if you can make a video about my question on soul family and maybe even some of this. Thanks, Aquila, and I really thank you for making videos, and you and Rich, I resonate with you guys so much. Okay, so there's a lot to this. Where do we start? I'll start with you asking Satan to reveal the truth and everything else. Basically, one of the things it's important to know, we start with people, like let's say we live with a family and they're going to have a certain set of beliefs, so we're going to grow in the surroundings of already someone else's beliefs and someone else's reality. We might buy into it or not. And then let's say you're a Christian, so like Jesus is like a savior, or like you get the concepts heaven, hell, and there's Satan, of course, and you end up like, oh, okay, I don't resonate with my parents and their beliefs, so I'm gonna ask Satan instead if he exists. Like you go there. There is nothing wrong in asking those questions, because one thing, a lot of people do not define those beings and will not really see them. As in, yeah, you can talk to them, but to really have like inviting the devil inside your house and everything else doesn't seem like you've had that experience. A lot of people will have, not necessarily a lot of people, but some people can have more sinister wants and or needs, like they want to hurt someone, or they want like revenge, or hey, like I'm jealous and I want this person to be mine, so they go for various reasons. But just because you ask a question from Satan or Lucifer or some demonic being, there's nothing bad to it, because each and every individual, whether it is a spirit guide, whether it is your chosen god or religion that you look into, or even the devil himself, it's all a being, a different kind of being. Let's say spirit guides. People are very keen to talk to their spirit guides, but let's just say that when people die, they don't necessarily get smarter. They have the same kind of knowingness that they've had before death. So if we're talking to spirit guides that are here from Earth, like let's say your uncle. Your uncle was into, let's just say he was living in the Western times and he was a cowboy. And he could work with cattle, he might have fooled around with many women, and all of a sudden he's going to be your spirit guide. So how much experience does he have? How is he going to talk to you? What kind of information can he share as a person that lived on Earth, that knew how to work with the cattle and that knew how to fool around with women? He's not going to enlighten you about life and what you should do. He has his own opinion, but is he right or not? It's all his perspective. So, like, just because we talk to certain individuals, whether it is God and Jesus, or, like maybe you're like, oh, Buddha, or like Hindu gods, or all of a sudden you choose to talk to Satan, there's nothing bad with that. You have a conversation, and it really depends, because there are plenty of people who will take the title of, I am God. What is God really? Define God for yourself, like define God for yourself, for the devil, what it means to you, how it looks to you, how does it make you feel? And then once you get a bit more like specific, then you will talk to a certain individual. But when you reach out to just Satan in a very broad picture, or God in a very broad picture, there can be many individuals that will pick up your message and will talk to you. They're like, oh, well, your job might be to pick up the phone and answer people, and you're going to have a conversation with them. You're representing a company. Satan or God can be a company. And there's plenty of people working under that company, and their job is to answer people that call. So it's very similar in that perspective. So again, if you have certain needs and start making deals now all of a sudden, then you might invite someone into your space that's unwanted, and that might eventually mess it up a little bit for you, or not necessarily. But just to have a conversation, it is okay. But again, if you're talking in generalities without really being specific, like, God, please help me. What kind of God are you talking to? Who you're talking to specifically? What kind of help do you want? When we're talking in generalities, we're reaching out to a massive public that will, well, I think I am God. So does that mean you're talking to me? And what kind of help do you want? How can I help you? But then, so again, it's all about perception. So there's that part, not to worry. There's no judgment into, oh my God, I talk with Satan and stuff like that. It's okay. Like, there's a bunch of beings that will pick up your phone pick up when you call, just because they're representing certain company, so to speak, or groups. So there's that. Another part, all of a sudden, after reaching out, you had a dream of two beings, one male and one female, and they look Japanese. You've also had a chance to see their world, and it looked like Japan, also a bit of China and Korea, all in one country. That's okay. So as regards, soul families being eternal, and were you with them before coming there? So soul families, yeah, it's more like eternal, as in, let's just say it's like a video game, a movie, or a TV show that you can experience whenever you choose to. Let's say you decide to watch a movie, and it can be your favorite one. Like, think of your favorite book, movie, music video that you will come back to eventually. Like, you can watch it once and it's great, but you like it so much that you will give it another chance and will watch it or play it or listen to it again. Because of that, our soul families work similar ways, where we can enter and choose to play and participate, and we can spend a certain time with them. But at any time, we can log out, leave that space, get out, and okay, that was done. That reality will continue on and exist. So you can leave and do your own thing and come back right when you left, or come back after a while, but that world is still out there. The soul family, consciousness, doesn't age. It doesn't get old. It doesn't have the physical features of, a human body or any kind of physical stuff. So consciousness that's eternal. The experience, how long does it last and all this stuff now, that's another thing. But as a consciousness, a bunch of beings can choose to come in, meet up, play the game, or have some sort of interaction and leave, and at any time, they can communicate and come back again. So with that, it does not mean that if you have a soul family, that's the only thing you have and the only thing you're ever going to have. You can have millions and billions of soul families, because let's say there are tons of animals here on Earth. There are dogs and cats and birds and blah, 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 blah. So you can choose to be human, you can choose to be a dog, you can choose to be a cat, and keep on playing and trying out tons of things until you find your favorites. For example, human body feels, oh, pretty flexible. I like it. I like how it feels. I like the things I can do with it. Now it kind of becomes one out of many favorites. Same thing with soul families. It's like you can have millions, but there will be some that you're like, I really like that experience. That was super fun. It's one of my favorite things ever. So it's like having the best memory, having a great connection with people, having a place to go to that you can call home, and there can be many of them out there with your experiences. And so you can have tons of soul families. And like the only thing is like, okay, some of them like you've had, it might be more like Japanese. You have more connection with them. Great. But you will have others. And at any point in time, you can come and leave and have various interactions. But unlike planet Earth or unlike Earth, it's like there are less limits. Of course, really depends where your home world is, where your realm is, what kind of rules and laws are in there. But a lot of people are actually living outside of duality. So the good, bad, right, wrong, and all of those things where it's at war, it's good versus bad, and like let's fight it out. Like it's not a thing. People will have different kind of games they want to play. Maybe more of a creation, maybe more of a communication and all. So it really depends what's your thing for your soul family and your realm. And with that, you can always shift things. You can always communicate with beings that sort of co-create the worlds with you. Now, another thing in that question, before incarnating here on Earth, were you with them? There's totally a chance, like right before, or a bit earlier, or earlier, or earlier. Because like you can have lots of aspects of yourself that will live and do things simultaneously. So let's say more than one body, more than one aspect, like living life, playing out various games. One of you is like one of your aspects here on Earth, the others might be all over the multiverse, whether it's like physical reality or you go into other variations. So with that, like, yeah, you might have been with those beings. And I really like the part where you say, like, while you were with them, you felt really happy and at peace. And that's a good thing to know. It's like, hey, when you meet your best friend, when you meet someone that like, oh wow, like I love being with them because you can be yourself. That's like where you get that inner confirmation where, oh, it's my stuff, it's my family, it's my people, my kind of guy, you know? So you connect with your group and you have the reassurance, you have the confidence that it's them, that it is safe, that is good. And that's something to know and sort of like go with. Like it's for me, it is always the feeling, but of course there's like other kind of ways to talk about such things. You can always ask questions like if you have a doubt, like, oh my God, what if they're trying to deceive me? Asking various questions, seeing if you can trigger them or, you know, like, okay, well, look, I talk, like, I got to see you because I talked to Satan and then asked a question. And all of a sudden, like, you appear. So what kind of connection do you have with Satan and stuff like that? So, like, just your curiosity, allow yourself to ask various questions that would give you more information about the situation. And you might get it satisfied. And if, like, okay, like, I kind of feel safe. I feel like everything's fine. These beings, like, you know, like, they just reached out to me because I asked the question and it was very general, but hey, the answer. So that's great. So there will be that part. What else is in your question? I'm just sort of like reading your whole thing. You also mentioned light, like sort of like seeing light and everything, but you felt like it's deceptive. So again, that kind of thing, I think it's like very general because like while we're here on Earth, we're like looking at if we die by Christian beliefs or like some people who have experienced the near-death experience, like they will share stories of how physical body drops dead even for a few minutes and they get to see white light and they go in there and they might see Jesus or something else. There's tons of experiences, not all of them are the same, but the biggest thing, whether it is white light and soul traps and, you know, like Wes Penry says, our consciousness splitting into tons of little aspects and other things, you know, like I'm not quoting him exactly, but like certain beliefs people have, and we hear tons of stories. It's all up to you. It's all what you choose to believe. There are tons of belief systems, tons of stories. Some of them are limiting, some of them are scary. Some of them will make us look, okay, physical body drops dead. We get into this soul trap possibly by like being deceived by archons or reptilians, and now we're gonna suffer, and our conscious is gonna experience something else, and we might come back here on Earth. That's one story. Or even this holes in the grid, or white light and reincarnating back if you go near it. It's all more like a belief system territory. And if we buy into, once your physical body drops dead, there are tons of sort of ordeals and things in the way that you have to, it's like climbing mountains, like, or like, oh my God, like I have to beat this challenge, like overcome the soul trap, overcome the like the holes to get out of the grid and all this stuff, and like avoid the soul traps and white light and everything else. That's like gets us into like our thoughts will create the reality. So again, we're affected by those stories. We're affected by our daily conversations and everything. And it's scary for some people because we clearly don't have the full understanding, specifically those that don't have out-of-body experiences, that don't get out, that don't see the different picture, that might, like people that might have not experienced the near-death stuff. They were like, okay, it's a story, and it's scary because they don't have that kind of encounter. Those that do, now they're like, they might have more freedom, they might have another look at it, they might have like, okay, well, they're a different perception. But again, it's all about what you choose to believe and focus on. And a lot of that negative stuff, again, it's like, it's not right, and it's wrong, and it's not true. It is true, and it all exists, whether it is good or bad. And no matter what kind of stories are there, billions of stories and all there, and they're all right and they're true. But we choose to pick one and go with that. And I would go with, try to empower yourself. Look, you're an infinite being as a consciousness. You can do absolutely everything. And what you focus on is what you're going to experience. So yeah, white light might be scary. Soul traps might be scary. Other kind of things might be scary, limiting, and kind of like, oh my God, what do I do? But it's all like, hey, those are the things that someone else wants me to focus on and think about. You could literally, let's say physical body drops dead, and you literally wake up out of the duality, out of anything that might limit you. But these like little issues and fears that we hear about, the stories that we try to discuss to understand what's real and what's going on and what's awaits us after, like in the afterlife, we keep focusing on that and we keep on creating that. So it's literally like your choice. It is your choice what to believe in, what to focus on. And even that whole thing where you mentioned, hey, in Canada they're going to legalize that medical assisted death. I think it's a great thing. It is a really great thing, specifically for people who are suffering, who are done with this world. There are plenty of people who have suffered, and physical body is basically in the vegetative state. They can't live, and they're trapped within the physical body that's connected to the machine. And what kind of life is that? It's like literally conscious being trapped within the body because a relative has a hard time dealing with a loss, and they can't confront it. And of course, it's hard on them. But I think if we can look at, hey, you've learned what you learned, and let's not try to escape all of our issues and stop being responsible, but learning and getting better, confronting things, getting better, controlling our life and doing something, achieving something, but having the option of leaving. That is, I think, is great. And I think it's very needed. So anyway, I think I'm a bit over the place, but hopefully I answered some of your questions. And just another part I will mention, you say it, like nowadays I don't see them like I used to before, and it depresses me a lot. What I would do is think about that, guy and the girl that you saw that looked Japanese, it looked like your soul family, and they talked to you and all. What kind of feeling did you have when you were with them? What did they look like? What's their essence like? When you sort of define them for yourself, and specifically the feeling you've had with them, the consciousness that you have been connected with, you can literally reach out to that. Okay, you might not know their names. If you do, great, but names are nothing. It's just like a title. It's a label. Who needs them? It's specifically the essence, the feeling you've had when you were with these beings. You can literally sort of, let's say, close your eyes if you want and relax, take a few deep breaths. It's like that, a bit of meditative state where, and you allow yourself to be in this private, comfortable, empowering state where nothing's like really interrupting. And you can literally reach out. The same way you called out to Satan and sort of addressed what you wanted at that time, is the same way you can talk to same beings. It's like, okay, think of a place where you would like to meet them. Even like you saw that world that looked like a bit of Japan, a bit of China, a bit of Korea, and you add that, you put yourself into that world. Like, okay, for a minute there, you are in that world. And allow the essence of these beings to be there with you, connect with that, invite them into that space if you want, and you can have a conversation. So like, it's more of a guided thing. I might have some videos on that, and I might do some more in the future of on the chosen like specific being, and just like a little example maybe for myself, so that you wouldn't have to risk it, or like like generalities. No, but yeah. So there's that. Hopefully that answered your questions, and I'll see you next time. Bye bye.